Alright, so this is a video about drop thumb. Someone left a comment on a video saying that drop thumb was something that they struggle with, so let's talk about that in this video. So drop thumb is really useful. We really like it when we play Clawhammer Banjo because it's such a strange and unorthodox way of playing that we need to get as much out of every movement that we can, and obviously dropping our thumb is really useful. So there's tons of things that you can't do without dropping the thumb, tons of like melodic kind of folky stuff. That's a tune called Fire in the Mountain. That's a tune called The Hare and the Hound. No, it's not. I can't remember that. It might be The Hare and the Hound. Or like classical stuff, which you can play in Clawhammer if you want to. There's tons of stuff that without dropping our thumb and playing a different string with it, that we're just not going to be able to do full stop. If you don't drop the thumb at all, you're just going to be doing dumb ditties and changing chords and playing maybe a bit of Cripple Creek. That's pretty much as far as you're going to be able to go. So let's talk through, and in my typical excruciating level of detail, talk through how to practice drop thumbs. This is for anyone who's like an absolute beginner, or if you're a bit more advanced but you struggle with it a bit still, I still think it can be useful. So yeah, firstly, what is drop thumb, right? It's when our thumb lands on any string and then plucks that string, any string other than this high G. So that's not drop thumb, that's just it landing on the G and then we pluck it. So any other string, we land on that string and then we pluck. So first things first, you need to get the basic motion down first. You need to be in the habit of your thumb always landing and then always coming off. So down, up, down, up. Even if you're not going to pluck, this thumb needs to land and then it needs to come off again. So I don't want to see anyone doing this. I'm not going to see you playing anyway, but please don't do it. None of this where the thumb just stays, and also none of this like downstroke, and because you're not going to pluck, you don't land your thumb. It should land every time. Trust me. In fact, don't trust me. Go on Google and find like the best clawhammer players. And when I'm talking about the best clawhammer players, I'm talking about people like Dan Walsh or Victor Furtado. These kind of people, their thumbs are landing, right? So first you need to start with that. And if you need help with that, just thump down, right? Really thump this down. Your thumb can hit the banjo head like that, and your fingers can hit the banjo head like that. And then just make sure your arms are moving up and down. I got video on that specifically, so go watch that. I don't need to go into too much detail here. And the key thing that's going to be really important for drop thumb is, actually, we're not just going up and down, we're going in and out slightly as well. So it's not purely in and out to the instrument like this, but it's not purely up and down either. It's a little bit of both. And this is important because when we're going to be dropping our thumb on a different string, if we're just going up and down, your thumb will hit another string first and it will get caught on it. We need in and out so it kind of lands, slaps almost between two strings on top of the string that you're aiming to hit. So actual drop thumb stuff properly now, right? So whenever you're learning any new technique on any instrument, or honestly just not even instruments outside of music, there are three ways to do it, right? So we're talking about clawhammer drop thumb stuff here. There's three ways that we need to learn, and we should do each step along the way. The third step is your end goal, but we start with the first one. So I'll briefly outline what those three steps are. You want to practice the technique in isolation, so just the technique itself. So if this is a right hand technique, right, or a claw hammer, like strumming hand, if you're left-handed, obviously your left hand technique, and therefore we practice it in isolation without anything to do with your left hand. The next step, step 2, is practicing it in a bit more of a musical context. So this is a right hand exercise. We now add in something with the left hand as well, but it'll be something simple at first, and I'll get to it in detail in a second. And then the third is in an actual proper musical context. It's probably going to be a tune, something like melodic, okay? At the start, I played Fire in the Mountain. That's a really good example of one to do. So Fire in the Mountain was one of the first like melodic tunes I learned, and it's quite tricky in a way for like a beginner, because there's a lot going on with your left hand, loads of hammer-ons and pull-offs, and lots of drop thumb stuff. So yeah, those three steps again: practice the technique in isolation, then alongside your other hand as well, and then in a proper full musical context. So the first one in isolation, it's not really very musical, and that's what we need to do to start with. It's purely mechanical. The second one is a bit more of a musical context, but it's still quite simple. And the third one, it really is, as I said before, the end goal. So let's start with it in isolation, right? So you should be used to just going down and plucking, right? Like this. If you're not already used to that, get used to that first and go watch my other videos that will hopefully introduce you to that as well. So when we're practicing drop thumb in isolation, right, what we want to do is just start hitting. To start with, keep your thumb landing on this high G string. Start hitting this high D string, just the high D string. Now, if you're being a bit sloppy and sometimes you miss it, or sometimes you hit too many strings, it's not a big deal. Just keep doing this, right? And then pluck. Make sure we're plucking up. Remember, we're not plucking down like this, and we're not really plucking out. It's up. And then you want to alternate your thumb landing. Your downstrokes are always staying on the D in this exercise, right? Alternate your thumb landing on this high G. And then this high, well, the B string. Like this. Actually start slow. I sped up too quickly there. One thing to remember is that if your thumb lands on the wrong string, do not correct it. So if you're aiming to land on the B string and then pluck the B string, but you land on the middle G, pluck it anyway. Do not land on there and then correct it to the B and then pluck. Don't do that. Try to correct it the next time round. Keep it going. So just like this. Keep that going. And if I land on the wrong string, keep landing on the wrong string there. That's the middle G rather than the B. Keep it going and then try to. Oh, there we go. I corrected it. And if sometimes you miss or you get like a weird note that doesn't ring through properly, just keep it going. Let it correct itself. Correct it the next time round. But keep that momentum going. It's so important with Clawhammer. So you can't stop and start either. But yeah, super important. If you've landed on the wrong string, it's too late to correct it. Just pluck that string, right? Just do not correct it once you've landed it. It will completely ruin the technique. So this is like a really good basic one because we're practicing moving our thumb from one string to another. Don't worry if your plucks aren't very loud or if something's not very accurate. Just keep it going. It will get there in time. And then we could do other techniques to do, other drop thumb techniques that are still in isolation, right? So a good one would be, again, keep hitting that high D, and then you pluck the B, then the middle G, then the low D, then the high G. So we're doing this right. And hopefully if I've remembered to edit it, in, a little tab should come up on screen there, right? So these are all just downstrokes on the D, but our thumb is going from B, G, D, G. And then just do that, right? Don't do it as fast as I'm doing it there, right? Take it nice and slow. Again, don't worry if you're hitting too hard or your plucks aren't loud enough or whatever. Just keep practicing that until it gets a bit more accurate, right? We don't need it to be perfect before we move on to the next step either. That's true of anything, honestly, when you're practicing an instrument. Particularly, I think Clawhammer Banjo, where we just want to get shit done. Basically, we just want to play, and we want to keep momentum going, right? So it doesn't need to be perfect before we go to the next step, which is, by the way, you can make up your own drop. These exercises that I'm playing, I just made them up. I'm not saying that because they were particularly innovative. They just kind of occurred to me to do. So if you want your own little exercise to do for the drop thumb technique, just pick a string to hit. If you're sick of hitting this high D string repeatedly, I only suggest that because it's an easy one to hit in isolation. Move it to the B string and and alternate between two different strings or something like that. It's completely up to you. Just you can think of your own exercises here to do that are going to be useful for you. There are tons of different patterns, that we could do across different rhythms. It's totally up to you. There are tons of different ones I do. I do kind of like Clawhammer Banjo rolls, where like I'm alternating what I'm hitting and what I'm plucking each time. You don't need me to tell you exactly how to play them. I think you've got to do them, but the point is you're doing them in isolation. Start simple and get more complicated, but do it in isolation first before you bring in this left hand. I'm not doing anything with this left hand at all so far, right? So that's what we do. We practice it in isolation. Now we're going to bring in the left hand, right? And all we want to do here is just pick another chord. This is our G. If you're in another tuning, G minor or like a sawmill tune or whatever, that's fine. It's fine as well. It doesn't make a difference really. And I'm just going to pick a different chord, right? We're going to have a C chord now. And what I want to do with this left hand is alternate between a G and a C chord. So let's go back to this pattern, right? I could do that pattern once on G, then once on C, and then alternate. That's all it is. You can hear I was being a bit sloppy there. Just keep it going. If you land on the wrong string, pluck that string anyway. Start nice and slow. I went too fast there. Now we're practicing. It's a bit of a multitasking thing here, right? You want to do this once you've got the basic isolated clawhammer drop thumb thing going a little bit. But now this is an extra challenge, and it is the next step, because now we're thinking with two hands at once, right? Really, we're not thinking with two hands at once, because this should be automatic to some degree. We're practicing to really have this automatic. That's what this is. At this point, we're practicing to make this automatic, and now we're thinking with this hand, because you could do it with any other chord or any number of chords, right? So we'll do it with C. You could do it G or E minor, whatever. You could do it A. Doesn't even matter if the chord's fitting that key, or just could be anything really. You could alternate with a bunch of chords. Like that. To different patterns. You can, again, if you've developed another like little exercise that is a different pattern that you want to play, you could play that one. Just across different chords. That's our step 2 of learning how to do drop thumb. This might take you like a week or 2 or 3 or 4. And it will probably take you a few years to get it absolutely perfect, right? It's one of those things, sometimes people ask me like, oh, how long did it take you to be able to play like you do? And it's like, well, I've been playing for 15 or 16 years now. So it took me 15 or 16 years to be able to play like I play. Pretty much by definition, like even the most basic things you will play differently in a few years compared to how you played them within the first few weeks. Even if you feel like you've got it down decently in the first few weeks, in a few years you'll have it down way better, and you'll be able to phrase it and play it dynamically in ways that you wouldn't have done. So even as something as simple as, you know, dumb ditties, which isn't the subject of this video, you know, when people start, it's perfectly fine. You might have it down decently in a month or two, but eventually you'll have it down in a way that you have just so much more control over it. So it's like anything. Mastery, and I'm not saying I'm a master of the banjo at all, but mastery takes ages, and you know, there are people who are better than me who play even the most basic things that I can play in a way that makes me look like an amateur, because they're just so much better. Even the basics end up sounding better. Yeah, I should do a video on this. It's all about doing the basics better. That's all it is. Being good at something isn't inherent. It's very rarely down to like some flashy bit of, you know, something fancy. It's really just doing the basic things better. So a little recap of where we are so far, right? We've done drop thumb in isolation. That's where we want to start, because we're just learning the mechanics of it. Accuracy is not the single most important thing right now. It will come in time. Sometimes you do want to pay attention to it, but just get that basic accuracy down. If you land on the wrong, not accuracy, basic technique, mechanics of the technique down. If you land on the wrong string, too late, just pluck it anyway, correct it next time around. And then the next step is what we just did, where we're alternating between two chords. So, you know, we choose a pattern and 2 chords. You could choose a different pattern, you could choose 3 chords, 4 chords, 5 chords. At this point, it's starting to sound musical, right? It sounds way more musical than just doing that technique in isolation. Then the end goal, well, step 3 is kind of the end goal, but you know, we'll still take our time with it, and there's still intermediary bits to it. We want to start learning a tune that uses drop thumb. It could be anything. It could be inserting a bit of drop thumb into a tune you already know. So Cripple Creek sometimes. Oh, messed it up. I do a bit of drop thumb there, so on that C to G bit, usually something like that. Do it like that instead. So you could insert it there, right? I'm not going to give you like a breakdown exactly what I'm doing there. I don't think it's super necessary. You can work out yourself or just kind of have a go at it. Or you could be learning like a tune. So as I played before, Fire in the Mountain goes like this. Actually, usually played a bit faster. I'm just doing it slow so you can see. This thumb is dropping all over the place, right? In fact, just watch it while I'm playing here. And there's loads of hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's a tricky tune in many ways, right? But this is really where your drop thumb stuff and your left hand working with it will really come into its own. And as I said, this kind of thing is the end goal, because that is musical, right? That's a piece of music that we're playing there. And at this point, to get to the point where you're playing a tune like that smoothly, accurately, and you've memorized it, you need to have really good drop thumb technique. But this is the complexity of it, and this is what puts people off it. You're only going to have good enough drop thumb technique to play a tune like that if you practice it in the context of a tune like this. It could be a decade of just doing this, right? You could be a master of that, right? Doing that drop thumb, and technically you're practicing drop thumb, but because you're just practicing it there in isolation, you'll never, if you just practice that, be able to play it in the context of a more complicated tune. So this is why this step it's kind of the end goal, but at the end of the day, there is actually no end point in learning how to play an instrument. You'll never get to that bit where you cross the finish line. It just doesn't happen. So it's not really the end goal. It's a point at which you're actually playing music, I guess I would say, and you start to feel a little bit more comfortable, but you're always going to be progressing with it, right? So it could be any number of tunes, whatever tune. If you know you like a banjo tune and you know there's a tab out there for you to play, learn it from tab for now, because if we're trying to learn a specific technique, you don't want going through the arduous process of working out by ear. Just get a tab, and if you have to, print it off and write down where your thumb has to be at any given point. Do it phrase by phrase, like Fire in the Mountain. We could take that, or we could take just the first. Just do that on repeat until it feels a bit more comfortable, then the next phrase and the next phrase. Yeah, it's tricky, but those are the 3 steps to get you to the point where your drop thumb will be better. You do need each step of the way. You can't, I would strongly recommend against just going from 0 to the 3rd point, which is playing it in a musical tune, like a musical context. It's highly unlikely. You'll find that very demotivating, I think, but it is what you want to be doing eventually, and it could be soon enough. Again, you don't need to perfect step 1 before doing step 2. You don't need to perfect step 2 before going to step 3. You want to do it a bit in isolation, get the basic mechanics down, then with a couple chords, and then in a more complicated tune. Whatever tune you want to do, it's up to you. Find a tab, go through it. That's the way to do it. But yeah, quite a short video today, I think. I don't know, is it shorter than some that I do? But yeah, just to sum up then, I'm being very repetitive again, but it really helps. There are 3 steps of practicing any technique, but here, drop them, right? And those steps are: isolate the technique so you're just doing that. You're not doing anything else. So in this case, we're doing something with our right hand, we're dropping our thumb, and we're not doing anything else. Nothing with the left hand whatsoever. So we don't have to think about it, right? We can just focus on the basic mechanics of it. Step 2, still quite mechanical, but now we are bringing in the left hand. And we need to do this because playing any instrument is a case of multitasking. You can't continually just isolate it and expect to become a master of that one technique. You then need to bring in the other hand, and it will be challenging because now you're thinking, your attention is all over the place, etc., things like that. And then the next step, which again is challenging, but you're never going to get to this point without practicing at this point, which is choose a tune, a complicated tune, or a tune you already know that you could put in some drop thumb. Something that has some drop thumb that is a bit more complicated. Now we are practicing it properly in a musical context, and now you can really learn how to apply it properly and how to practice it properly. Having said that, even once you've gone through step 1, 2, 3, it's not as if you never go back. Sometimes I will, if I've not played for a while and I know I'm being a bit sloppy, or I just want to do it. I'll just choose a basic and just do that a bit, right? And just say, okay. Getting used to this again. Maybe it's a warm-up, right? Like this, and just speed it up. Or it could be more complicated. Maybe I'm trying to integrate like a new some kind of like banjo roll that I've not played previously, and I might need to break it back down straight to step 1 again, get the mechanics of that down in isolation. Something I'm not very good at, for example, is these rolls, so this is like what I would call a clawhammer roll, but with like some percussive things in there. It sounds really cool. I'm not very good at doing that at tempo. I'm quite slow with it. So that's something relatively recently I've been practicing. That was a bit sloppy, right? Practicing in isolation, so I'm not bringing in the left hand at all. I'm just trying to get like a percussive banjo roll. So I go back to step 1 and I do the mechanics again, and then I'll build it back up to step 3. In a way, this is very painstaking and very pedantic, and it can take a while, but this really is the best way to do it. And you don't need it perfect by tomorrow. You don't need it perfect at all, really. We're not aiming for perfection necessarily, but you don't need it done and brilliant tomorrow, right? All these things take time, so just work on them a little bit of time and mix and match. You will go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 and back again. That's perfectly acceptable, but broadly speaking, start by getting the mechanics, then bring in the left hand, then do it in a full musical context, and eventually you will get to the point where your playing is way better. Bear with yourself, put it like that. You got to be patient with yourself, because it is tricky stuff. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful for people. I'm going to try to do more videos when I can. Hopefully see you around. Bye bye.